She won't raise her hand. She'll raise your stress. She won't break your bones. She'll break your confidence, slowly. And when it's over, you won't even know what hit you, because she didn't scream. She didn't cheat. She just drained you, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, until the strongest parts of you went silent. This is the kind of woman most men never see coming. Not because she's hidden, but because her manipulation looks like love, and her immaturity wears the mask of innocence. She plays the victim. She creates chaos, and then she makes you feel guilty for trying to fix it. It starts small. One passive-aggressive comment, one joke that cuts too deep, one silent treatment that lasts just long enough to make you chase. And before you know it, you're no longer leading. You're reacting. You're tolerating. You're negotiating with someone who's never respected you. Most men call this a toxic relationship. High-value men call it what it really is, a trap. Because when you give emotional power to an immature or low-value woman, you pay in pieces of your masculinity. And that's why this video exists. Not for clicks, not for drama, but because you need to see what most men never will, until it's too late. This is episode 1 of a private 4-part series created for men like you. Men who are tired of tolerating emotional instability. Men who crave truth, clarity, and control. Each episode dives deeper, exposing what weakens you and what protects you. Watch them all, or risk missing what might save you. But first, we need to uncover the exact signs that give her away, because it's never just one big moment. It's 10 subtle traits, each one more dangerous than the last. 1. She's always the victim, even when she's the problem. She could lie, manipulate, or start a fight for no reason, and still manage to flip it back on you. Somehow, you become the villain, and she becomes the wounded girl who just wants to feel safe. This is the emotional trap immature and low-value women perfect. They never take responsibility, because accountability feels like an attack to someone who's never grown up emotionally. She'll provoke you, then cry when you react. She'll push your buttons, then accuse you of being too intense. She'll cross the line, and then make you feel guilty for setting boundaries. And in the moment, it's confusing. You don't want to hurt her. You try to stay calm. You over-explain. You apologize for things you didn't even do. You think that maybe, just maybe, if you show her enough love, she'll stop making everything about her pain. But she won't, because her entire identity is built on victimhood. It's how she gets control. It's how she avoids growth. And it's how she makes strong men weaker, one guilt trip at a time. High-value men don't entertain this game. They see it for what it is, emotional manipulation wrapped in fake innocence. Because any woman who plays the victim in every conflict is not looking for peace. She's looking for power without earning it. And if you let her keep that power, she'll drain every ounce of stability from your life and call you toxic when you finally walk away. But here's the deadliest part of all. She doesn't just twist reality. She punishes you for trying to tell the truth, which leads us straight into the second trait. And trust me, if this one's present too, you're already losing yourself. 2. Her emotions control the relationship. One moment she's laughing. The next, she's cold, distant, or ready to fight. And somehow, without realizing it, you've become a hostage to her moods. You stop speaking your mind because you don't want to trigger her. You walk on eggshells, hoping today's not one of those days. You plan your peace around her instability. And that's the trap. Immature and low-value women don't regulate their emotions. They weaponize them. Every mood swing becomes a power shift. Every silent treatment becomes a test. Every outburst becomes your problem to fix. She doesn't have to ask for control. She takes it by turning your nervous system into her emotional punching bag. And here's what most men never realize. The more emotionally reactive she is, the more emotionally responsible you become. You'll find yourself apologizing for her moods. You'll twist yourself into a man who keeps the peace, all while losing the core of who you are. High-value men don't play that game. Because if a woman can't handle life without making everyone else walk around her feelings, she's not ready for a relationship. She's not looking for a partner. She's looking for an emotional caretaker, someone to carry the chaos she refuses to face. And the moment she realizes you'll carry it, she'll never stop handing you more. But it doesn't stop there, because when her emotions aren't enough to control you, she'll use attention from other men to get the reaction she wants. And that's where things get darker and far more humiliating. 3. She craves male attention, even while with you. She says you're enough. She says she's all yours. But her actions scream something else. She still posts thirst traps online, still keeps exes and old friends on standby, still leaves the door cracked just enough for anyone willing to give her that cheap little dopamine hit. You're loyal, you're present, you're building something real. But that's not what excites her. What excites her is being desired by many, is knowing she can still get a reaction from men who don't matter, is watching you squirm when you notice it. And if you confront her, she'll call you insecure, controlling, weak, as if protecting the dignity of your relationship is somehow a flaw. But here's the truth. A woman who constantly needs male attention lacks emotional maturity. She doesn't know how to feel valuable without validation. So she performs for strangers, for followers, for exes, anyone who'll give her the high she's addicted to. And while she's collecting hearts online, you're left wondering why your presence, your commitment, is never enough. High-value men don't tolerate this, because a woman who needs the world's approval will never respect the man standing right in front of her. Her phone becomes her mirror, her likes become her lifeline, and your love, just background noise in her endless need to be seen. But here's where it gets truly toxic. Once she knows you hate it, she'll use it as leverage, not just to test you, but to punish you. And if you think that's bad, wait until you see what she does when peace feels too boring. 4. She creates drama just to feel power. She won't say it out loud, but peace makes her anxious, and calm makes her feel invisible. So when things are finally stable, when the energy feels soft, when love starts to feel real, she stirs the pot. She picks a fight out of nowhere. She makes a passive-aggressive comment. She accuses you of something just vague enough to get you defending yourself. And suddenly, you're back in the storm. Why? Because immature women confuse chaos with connection. They don't feel alive unless something's breaking. And they don't feel loved unless you're chasing, apologizing, or begging for clarity. It's emotional addiction. Drama gives her a rush. It lets her test your limits. It lets her reset the power dynamic, where she's the wounded queen and you're the reckless man trying to make it up to her. High-value men see the pattern instantly, because real women solve problems. Low-value women create them, just to see how far you'll bend before you snap. And if you feed into the chaos, she'll train you like a dog, rewarding you when you submit, punishing you when you protect your peace. At first it feels like tension, then it feels like anxiety. Eventually, it feels like walking into a war zone with no idea why the guns are drawn. And here's the cold truth. She doesn't even want resolution, she wants reaction. Because in her world, If she's not causing a scene, she doesn't feel seen at all. But if that sounds exhausting, wait until you see what happens when she has no discipline in her spending, her social life, or her emotions. 5. She has no discipline, spending, social life, or emotions. You notice the little things at first, the Amazon boxes piling up, the nights out with the girls that end at 3 a.m., the impulsive decisions she calls just living life. She's constantly chasing stimulation, new clothes, new plans, new attention, new highs. And when the adrenaline fades, she crashes, blames the world, and repeats it all again. This isn't freedom, it's chaos with lipstick on. Immature and low-value women don't build stability, they run from it. Because stability requires control, discipline, emotional regulation, and she's mastered none of it. She'll max out her credit card for a weekend vibe. She'll post her whole life online just to feel noticed. She'll blow up your phone during an argument, then disappear when you ask for clarity. Every area of her life reflects disorder, financially, socially, mentally, and eventually, that chaos bleeds into your life. You'll find yourself cleaning up her mistakes, apologizing for her behavior, trying to build structure around a woman who refuses to grow. High-value men don't play savior. They recognize this for what it is: emotional immaturity spilling into every part of her lifestyle. And here's the catch. You think it's just a phase. You think maybe she just needs time, but she's not interested in discipline. She's addicted to distraction. Because if she ever slowed down long enough to face her own patterns, she'd have to admit the problem isn't the world, it's her. But if you really want to see where her future is heading, just take a look at who she surrounds herself with. 6. Her friends are just as emotionally reckless as she is. Look closely at the women she calls sisters, the ones always in her corner, the ones who cheer her on when she ghosts someone, or tells you to man up after disrespecting you in public. These aren't just friends, they're a reflection of who she is without the mask. Because high-value women surround themselves with accountability, wisdom, and growth. Low-value women, they collect enablers, loud, unstable, emotionally erratic friends who celebrate dysfunction like it's empowerment. You'll hear things like, "Girl, don't settle. Make him chase you. Just block him. He's too sensitive anyway." It's not just bad advice. It's a hive mind of immaturity, one that rewards disrespect, punishes self-awareness, and turns every relationship into a game. And here's what most men ignore. You're not just dating her, you're dating her mindset. And her mindset is shaped by the voices around her, the ones she listens to when you're not there. If her closest friends are messy, chaotic, and emotionally impulsive, she will become them, if she hasn't already. Because no woman rises higher than the company she keeps. And if her circle runs on dysfunction, that dysfunction will eventually run through you too. High-value men don't just observe the woman, they observe the ecosystem she thrives in. Because emotional immaturity doesn't live in isolation, it multiplies in echo chambers. And if you dare call it out, if you so much as question her friend group, she'll take it as a personal attack, which leads directly to the next sign, the one that proves growth isn't just hard for her, it's downright offensive. 7. She can't handle criticism without exploding or collapsing. Try to be honest with her, she breaks. Try to correct her, she attacks. Try to suggest growth, she disappears. To the emotionally immature woman, truth feels like betrayal, because her ego is fragile, and her identity isn't built on self-awareness. It's built on defense mechanisms. So when you bring up a problem, she doesn't hear, "Let's grow together." She hears, "You're not enough. You're broken. You failed." And instead of listening, she lashes out. Blame, deflection, tears, guilt trips, every tool except accountability. She's mastered the art of emotional escape, because growth would mean confronting the damage she causes, and she's not ready for that kind of mirror. High-value men don't hold back the truth just to keep the peace. They speak with clarity, not cruelty. But that's the thing. To a low-value woman, clarity and cruelty feel the same. So she plays defense, even when you're just trying to build something real. And over time, you begin to silence yourself. You start shrinking. You begin filtering everything you say through the fear of how she'll react. That's not love. That's survival. And when a man starts to survive inside his own relationship, it's only a matter of time before he forgets what strength feels like. Because when you're punished for being honest, you either lie to protect her feelings or leave to protect your own. But here's the sickest part. She'll call you emotionally unavailable the moment you stop catering to her emotional fragility. And if you think that's manipulative, wait until you see how she uses self-growth as a smokescreen to stay the exact same. 8. She talks about healing, but never actually grows. She'll say she's working on herself. She'll throw around words like boundaries, energy, and trauma. She'll post about healing, self-love, and feminine energy. But when it's time to actually show emotional growth, nothing changes. Because for her, healing isn't a path, it's a performance. She journals but avoids hard conversations. She meditates but still explodes over small things. She buys crystals and sage but still blames everyone else for her instability. It's not about becoming better. It's about sounding like she's becoming better. High-value men see the difference instantly, because real healing shows up in how a woman takes responsibility, regulates her emotions, and treats people when no one's watching. Low-value women, they weaponize healing language to avoid accountability. They hide behind spirituality to stay emotionally stuck, while convincing everyone they're evolving. And the cost of this illusion? It's you, your patience, your energy, your hope that one day she'll finally become the woman you believed she could be. But she won't. Because the longer she clings to the idea that healing is a journey, the more she gives herself permission to never arrive. She'll speak like a psychologist, but act like a child. She'll say, "I'm doing the work," while doing everything but face the damage she leaves behind. And if you call it out, you're labeled as unsupportive, or worse, not emotionally safe. But what happens when the sweet words fade, when the mask slips, when she realizes her beauty isn't enough to keep you chasing? That's when the manipulation shifts. That's when she starts using your attraction against you, twisting the very thing that drew you in into the weapon that keeps you stuck. 9. She uses her beauty to manipulate, then plays the victim when you call it out. She knows what she looks like. She knows the effect she has on men, and she knows you're drawn to her, even when your instincts scream that something is wrong. So she uses it. She'll flirt, tease, and seduce when she wants something. She'll dress up just enough to keep your eyes locked, your heart hooked, and your logic on standby. But the moment you question her behavior, the second you mention boundaries, double standards, or disrespect, she flips the narrative. Suddenly, you're the problem. You only care about how I look. You don't see me for who I am. You're trying to control me. It's a twisted game. She weaponizes your desire and then shames you for having it. And you're left stuck in the middle, pulled in by attraction, pushed away by manipulation. This is the low-value woman's favorite tactic. Use the bait, then blame you for biting. High-value men recognize the pattern. They don't confuse beauty with depth. They know that real feminine power doesn't need to seduce to be respected. It commands presence through grace, not games. But when you're dealing with an emotionally immature woman, beauty becomes a tool, not a gift. It's used to disarm your judgment, to override your standards, to keep you chasing, second-guessing, and apologizing for noticing the very thing she puts on display. And here's the brutal truth. She doesn't want to be understood. She wants to be worshipped, even when she's being disrespectful. But the most dangerous trait of all, it's when she stops seeing you as a partner and starts seeing you as a rival. 10. She competes with you instead of inspiring you. She doesn't want to build with you. She wants to beat you. Not openly, not directly, but in subtle, passive-aggressive ways that leave you wondering if she's even on your side. You share a win. She downplays it. You hit a goal. She changes the subject. You grow, and she pulls back. Because to an immature, low-value woman, your success doesn't excite her. It threatens her. Your ambition makes her feel small. Your discipline reminds her of everything she lacks. Your masculine frame exposes her emotional instability. So instead of rising with you, she resents you, and you start to feel it. That cold tension, that unspoken jealousy, that quiet sabotage that shows up as criticism, distance, or jokes that cut just deep enough to sting. You're not in a relationship. You're in a competition you never signed up for. And no matter how much you reassure her, support her, or try to lead her, she'll find a way to turn it into a power struggle. Because deep down, she's not trying to love a strong man. She's trying to control him, or break him just enough so she can feel safe again. High-value men walk away from that because they understand. The right woman multiplies your energy. The wrong one drains it, while secretly hoping you fail. And if she sees your growth as a threat, she was never aligned with your future in the first place. Now you see the full picture, the behaviors, the patterns, the traps. But this isn't just about spotting the damage. It's about becoming the kind of man who never tolerates it again. And that's exactly what we'll seal in the final conclusion. Now you see it. The manipulation that once felt confusing now has a pattern. The chaos that drained your energy now has a name. And the woman you once thought was just complicated, she's not a mystery. She's a mirror, reflecting everything you've outgrown. You've walked through 10 emotional traps, and with each one, your awareness sharpened. That's what high-value men do. They study the storm, so they never get caught in it again. And if any of this hit too close, that's not weakness, that's awakening. Because the man who can face truth without flinching is the man who becomes untouchable. You're not here to fix women who refuse to grow. You're here to protect your mind, your energy, your peace, and above all, your mission. Because your strength isn't in how much chaos you can handle. It's in how quickly you walk away from anything that costs you your clarity. Let this video be the moment everything shifted, where you stopped making excuses for emotional immaturity and started setting a new standard for your life. There are more layers to this, more traps, more hidden patterns most men still can't see. That's why this is only episode 1. If this opened your eyes, the next episode will sharpen your instinct, and the one after that will shift your mindset forever. Let the rest chase validation. You chase truth. You chase peace. You chase mastery. Because in the end, the rarest kind of man isn't the richest or the strongest. It's the one who never loses himself in the fire. You don't rise by saving broken people. You rise by refusing to break with them.